And a good afternoon. Welcome back to your Afternoon 5-State Farm Report. Danielle Drotzman, your host here for 570 WNAX. Thanks for tuning in here today on this Wednesday. Glad to have you all with us. Want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, the Smet Farm Mutual Insurance, Fordyce Co-op, and Total Auctions and Real Estate for bringing you the Afternoon 5-State Farm Report. Well, as we continue throughout your program here today, we have Pete Sexton with us. He is the Southeast Research Farm Supervisor for SDSU. And Pete, we're happy to get you on WNAX today, and thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing quite well, Danielle, and I'm hoping we pick up some rain here pretty soon, but one day at a time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely the crops could use some rain. And I guess, but speaking of that, I mean, how are crops looking currently? I guess you're in the Beersford area. How are they looking at the moment?
Well, I would say right now in Beersford we're kind of in a moderate drought. It is not severe, but if we picked up some moisture, we'd definitely be good for the crop. The corn is just going through anthesis, or it's shedding pollen, starting to tassel out. So it's going to set its seed count here in the next week or so. Beans are just kind of going into reproductive growth, but a little more flexible, so later moisture they'll compensate for. So this is kind of a critical time. I think if very fortunate, at least we haven't had over 100-degree temperatures right around here, so it could be worse, but we are moderately stressed here for sure. If we pick up some rain here in the next week, I think we'll come through it all right. I don't think, though, with these conditions with the corn, I don't think we're going to get a super duper crop, but at least we could get an average crop if we picked up some rain pretty soon. And the beans, of course, can compensate more. Further west, I was out towards Wagner earlier this week, and they have more severe stress there. So we'll see how that plays out. But I think as you go, at least from Beersford west towards the Missouri River, it seems like you get further west, the worse it gets.
So, I mean, are there any tips you're giving to farmers during kind of this drought time? Because, I mean, for sustainable practices, or, I mean, any big questions you are getting at all?
I would say, the die is kind of cast at this point as far as corn and soybean crops go, and small grains. It's a good thing to think about reducing tillage in general, but that would be for next year. But the more we till the ground, the less residue we leave on the surface, the more prone we are to drought stress. And also, when we do get rain, generally speaking, no-till systems have a higher infiltration rate. So when you do get a short, hard blast of rain, a no-till system will soak in better than in a tilled system. So in terms of moisture use and maximizing the use of water that you get and not having it run off, reduced tillage and no tillage is definitely a help. But at this point, the die is cast. I mean, those decisions were made earlier in the year.
Mm-hmm. So something we could maybe keep in mind for next year on things we could maybe do different or whatever?
Yes, looking towards the future. I think if for those that are using tillage, think about how they might reduce tillage or start maybe practicing some no-till on part of their farm to get used to it.
Yeah, and I know I think maybe last year we were seeing some new diseases pop up, at least in corn, kind of in maybe Nebraska and South Dakota. As far as disease pressure at all on corn and beans, have you been hearing anything, or I guess how's that looking for the crop so far, maybe in your area?
My information is that the rust that we had last year hasn't moved so far north this time around. Mm-hmm. And with these drier conditions, the disease pressure is going to be less. So that's the silver lining to the drier conditions. It slows the pathogens down. Actually, slows the pathogens down more than it slows the crop down. So I don't think this is a year we'll see a lot of disease pressure.
Gotcha. And with that, you're the Southeast Research Farm Supervisor. Have you had any events this summer or anything that's taken place at the farm there?
Yeah, so we had a field day July 7th. We had a nice turnout. We're doing work with horticultural crops, getting started on that, some forages and corn and soybeans and small grain. We'll have another field day September 10th. That'll be more forage and livestock orientated. We have done some work this year with virtual fencing and seeing some interesting results results with that. So if people are interested in that, we'll have more on that at our field day in September 10th.
Perfect. And I mean, if we can, I mean, is that just to show up and, or do you have to register? You know what I mean?
No, you can show up. That'll work.
Okay, cool.
Be happy to have people come.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and then I guess last but not least, I mean, any interesting research projects currently going on at the farm?
Well, we're doing some work. I was talking about the virtual fencing, looking at different intensities of grazing on rye in the spring and how that's going to influence the following soybean crop. So basically looking at how managing a rye forage crop impacts the following soybean crop in a double crop system. We're also, for those that are interested in vegetables and fruits, we're doing some work with no-till production of cucumbers and watermelons with and different soil amendments. That would be for younger people maybe that are trying to get started on a smaller acreage with a high-value crop. So we're working along with that. Christine Lang at Brookings would be the lead person to talk with there, but we're trying to move in that direction a bit. In terms of corn and soybean work, we've got a fellow, Sachin Dunda in Brookings, is doing some work with different cover crops in the spring for weed suppression. So we'll see how that turns out. He's got some interesting things going. We'll see what the yield data looks like.
All right, perfect. Again, that's Pete Sexton. He is a Southeast Research Farm supervisor for SDSU, joining us here today on your afternoon 5-State Farm Report. So with that, we will take a quick break here. We'll take a look at some local weather, and then here at the end of your hour, we'll take a look at some cash grain numbers and round out your program here for the day. So with that, for WNAX, I'm Danielle Drotzman.